Alrighty. Welcome back. We are back. I'm a little tiny bit late. Couple of minutes late because my account signed me out and wouldn't let me sign back in. So there we go. Here we go. Whoosh. There we are. Hello. Welcome. We're in. Big game today. Very big game today. It feels like I've been saying that for the last few games actually, but very important game for us to get back onto the winning horse. Very big. Very big opportunity for us to not only advance up the table if results go our way, but also just to kind of get back some of that confidence that we've been missing in the last few weeks. Obviously, we started that with a resounding victory against Morecambe in the cup, but this is more important. This is a big game. Bournemouth are a team that are in very good form, I would say. They're obviously 7th in the league, only 3 below us. If they win this game and we lose, they go level on points with us. So very important that we do win this game. However, they do have one big resounding problem, and that's the injuries that they've got. They have 12 first-team injuries, or 12 first-team absentees. I think one of them is Kepa. I've got the list here. They don't have Kepa, obviously, because he's a loanee from us. They have no Aarons, no Smith, no Araujo, no Senesi, no Soler, no Billing, no Scott, no Tavernier, no Sinistero, no Unal, and no Evan Nielsen. Those two at the bottom are the most important, in my opinion, because that means that they're going to have to rely on Jebison, I believe, is their third striker. That might not be a great thing for them. Obviously, they're usually a very good attacking team, and that's one of the reasons why I think this game actually suits us more, is because of how we struggle against teams that sit back and defend, and Bournemouth are not going to be a team that do that. They're going to be a team that likes to step on the gas. They're going to be a team that likes to go forward. They're going to be a team that wants to press you, and I think that suits us a bit more with the way that we like to play out from the press and kind of transition through forward pressure. I think that will suit us a lot more. Let me just quickly pause this stuff. I didn't do my checks and stuff. I'm a bit out of sorts at the moment. Here we go. Boom. The chat, is the chat coming up? It does this. It's really weird. If I don't pop out the chat on the stream, it doesn't come up on the screen. Very weird. Hopefully it should work now. But yeah, as ever, what I'll do first is I'll go through the bingo card. I've got a few new things on the bingo card this week, and then we'll go through my predicted lineup, and then we'll obviously react to the lineups when they come out. They should usually come out at about like 2:45 or 2:15 rather. So hopefully that they actually do come out that time. I don't have to sit here for another half an hour because they've been doing that recently, where they don't put them out for some reason. BS. Let's get into there's also like transfer news and stuff I want to talk about, so we can kind of fill in the time with that. Let's go through the bingo card. Let's move to this screen. So we've got a few new things, as I said. The first thing is defensive howler. This usually says Disasi howler, but he's probably not going to play today considering the talk around his transfer possibly going ahead in January. Got Sanchez the GOAT. If you remember, for the last time that we played Bournemouth, last season rather, Sanchez was really good for us, and basically won us the game, other than the Caicedo 50-yarder, which was great. We still have Why Are You There? This happens all the time. I've put Who? Because this one is specific for... We know what's going to happen here, right? This happens to us all the time. That they have... The opponent that we're facing have injury issues. They bring on some random no-name player that has basically had like 2 starts in the Premier League, or not even a start in the Premier League, and they're the one that scores against us. And I genuinely believe that if you wanted to make money today, and I'm not endorsing betting, I'm not endorsing any of that, I would, if I was a betting man, I would put money on the fact that Daniel Jefferson was scored today. Genuinely. So that's that. I put Josh is player of the match. It's a bit of a spoiler to my predicted lineup, but I think that Josh Achampong might have a very good game today. Palmer G/A, of course, that stays in there from the last game. Last week's scapegoat stays in again. Again, this is basically for when the player that gets blamed for us playing poorly one week then plays really well the next week. Caicedo booked for a clean tackle. Again, this happens quite often. I put Neutral's Dream, and this is going to be specifically because I think that this is going to be a game that's really open and there's a lot of goals in it. I think this is going to be a game where as a neutral, you would enjoy watching this game. And I think that this being mentioned on commentary is kind of what I'll tick this off for. If they say something like, oh, this is a really good game for the neutral, like they usually do, that's what that's ticking off for. Defense scores, this is again just for a defender scoring. Player booked for dissent, that's on our side. It could be for Bournemouth as well if I'm looking for a bingo here, but this is just for because this happens a lot. Our players get booked for dissent. Fight breaks out. This is the same as last time. We've got a free space, which we'll decide at the time. We have Maresca ball in full flow again for one of those classic kind of Maresca attacks where it transitions from the back straight to the front, and we might be able to see that today with Bournemouth being more of a forward pressing team. Hopefully we get to see that. VAR costs us again. That's self-explanatory. This happens way too often. We're probably going to get a bad decision. Enzo assist, again, self-explanatory. Just if Fernandez gets an assist in the game. Hihe Sports, obviously for Joao Felix if he gets on the pitch. Someone scores a worldie, again, self-explanatory. Winger to winger, I've explained this one in the past, but it's basically one of those scenarios where we have a very good opportunity to score and the ball goes all the way through the box, no one touches it, and it goes back to the other winger. No Nkunku. So this is a very interesting one because we've obviously seen there's been transfer talk about Nkunku today and through the last few days, possibly going to Bayern Munich, and us possibly getting Matisse Tell as well, which would be kind of fun. So my prediction is that he either doesn't play today and he gets snubbed for Mark Guiu instead, or he's just completely not in this matchday squad. Because I think that's a very... I would imagine if we are going to make a big move this window, it will be Nkunku leaving. I think that he's the most likely to go. Mono in Australia. Someone pointed this out in the last stream that I should put on the bingo card if my camera flips up in the stream, either in this stream or in the Feeling Blue that I'll do after the game. Most likely it'll probably happen in that latter one, so we'll keep an eye on that because it does that for some reason. I don't know why. Mucho gusto. This is for obviously. This means nice to meet you. It's a play on words. This is basically just if Gusto has a good game, because I have a weird sneaky suspicion that Gusto will come on probably at the same time as last time. He'll come on at 45 minutes, or he'll play the first 45. I think he'll have a very good game. Grass is always greener. We talked about this again. It's going to be for the wingers. Transfer target triumph. Now, this is an interesting one. We have quite a few transfer targets or previous transfer targets that are in the Bournemouth side. And this is just for if one of those players has a very good game or scores or something like that. So I expect that to happen. And then, of course, to finish it off, we have the Bob Marley chant. Right, cool. Let me get into the lineup here. What am I doing? I'm still out of sorts with this thing. So I'm gonna put out my predicted lineup. Hopefully, the lineup for the actual game will come out soon. So then we can obviously react to that. I think that the most obvious one is, of course, the goalkeeper. Sanchez will play. We always see this. He starts every game. Do I think that we're going to be moving for a goalkeeper in January? Absolutely not. I think we're going to be sticking with the same players that we have in this role for this season. Maybe we'll look at some others in the summer. I'm not sure. I think Sanchez has actually been a lot better than a lot of people would give him credit for this season. I think he's been, in terms of a shot stopper, I think he's been pretty good. And again, I rate him to. I expect him to have a pretty good game today. So he starts. Over on the right back spot, now this is a contentious one because obviously it's an absolute 50-50 to me between Malo Gusto and Reece James to play in the right back spot. They both played 45 minutes in midweek. I think my head says that Malo Gusto will play and that James will be rested because he did play in 45 and they don't want to rush him back too badly after his injury. But my heart says that James is starting, so I'm going to be putting him in. I'm going heart over head here. I think James starts today. Although it is a bit of a contentious one considering what I think is going to happen in the rest of the lineup, and it might be a bit of a weird back line considering we usually do the inversion thing. It's going to be a bit weird for how we usually do that today, but there we are. Over in the right centre back spot, I'm going to be putting in Josh Achempong. Again, spoiler from earlier, I said that I expected him to start. He didn't play at all in the Morecambe game, and that means to me in my head that means he's playing the full 90 this week. He had a very good game. In the last game that he played in the Prem, so hopefully he can continue that as well. Over on the left side, it's of course going to be Colwill because he starts every single time. This is the only thing which I'm a bit confused about or a bit worried about with this back line, obviously, and I'll put in left back as well. It's going to be Mark Cucurella, who had a very good game when he came off the bench against Morecambe. The only thing I fear about this is that obviously we usually invert Cucurella in these scenarios, and that would put Colwill out on the left, and that would put Acheampong as the central centre-back, and I'm not sure if that suits him particularly well. What we might see is that kind of hybrid system that we used to see with Gusto in, where both of them kind of do the inverting at times, depending on which side of the pitch we're playing on. I expect that to kind of be the way we go. Now, the midfield is a bit contentious because we have 4 players that need to fit into 3 roles. I'm going to be resting Romeo Lavia despite him playing the 45 minutes against Morecambe. I'm going to be putting Caicedo in as the deepest player here, if this would stop lagging. Come on, whiteboard. You know you want to work for me. There we go. I will be putting Caicedo in as the deeper player. And ahead of him, now this is a bit contentious because I think that some people would expect him to not play. I'm going to be putting Enzo. I think that he, obviously, again, he didn't play against Morecambe, so I think that he's fresh for this game, as is Cole Palmer, who will 100% start every single game. Of course, that's no surprise. So yeah, with this setup, I would imagine that Cucurella would invert to kind of support Caicedo or also play in that kind of 10 role. So there we go. The front 3 is a bit different to what I would like in terms of my prediction. Personally, on the right-hand side, I would like to see Noni Madueke. I don't think he's particularly been training well, though, according to the press conferences. And obviously he's been injured recently and or ill recently, and he's just come back from that. So I don't expect him to start, and I expect Pedro Neto to get another run out at right wing. On the opposite side, I would expect Jadon Sancho to play. No reason for him not to play in this role, in my opinion. He didn't play against Morecambe, so there we go. And up top, of course, Nicholas Jackson. I think this lineup is the most easy to predict for in recent times. I think I said the only thing that's a bit contentious is whether or not James plays over Gusto and whether or not Caicedo plays over Lavia, or technically it would be Fernandez, who I think would come out of the team actually. Whoever. I think that's a bit of a 50-50. I think the rest of the team is pretty nailed on to play, considering who played against Morecambe and who didn't. But yeah, that's my oh, is it camera zoomed? It's a zoom and it's not a flip. Where is my camera remote? There we go. I was in full flow, so I just didn't I wasn't paying attention. There we go. It doesn't count as the bingo card though, because it's not a flip. In fact, I say this, I have this so far away nowadays, I should have it about here. Let's put it there. But yeah, so this is my predicted lineup. As I said, the only contentious positions in my opinion are right back and this deepest 6 role. I don't know who would play here. Either I feel like Lavia is a player that would kind of be rested. I think James is too important as the captain to kind of be like, oh, we'll rest him again. I think that he'll probably play. And again, hopefully we get a good game from Josh, who will probably be making his second start in a Chelsea shirt in the Premier League. So yeah, hopefully we can get that. The lineup should come out in about 1 minute, so I'm going to quickly check to see if that is correct or not. And then we can talk about that. Also, we've got some more transfer news to kind of talk about as well in the meantime, if it's not. So, let's see. Chelsea, where have you put the lineups? Have they come out yet? They have not come out yet, so I'm assuming they're probably going to come out at past. Let's talk some of this transfer talk then. I think the starting point is where someone... Yeah, see, this is the thing. It usually comes out an hour before the game. But this season, they've been randomly doing it 15 minutes early. I'm really not sure why. I think, but it's only for the 3 p.m. games that it does that. I'm not sure. Like, it's random. It's really weird. But yeah, let's talk about some of the transfer news. I think the first one to talk about is probably the biggest story, I would suggest, is for... Where have I put him? Christopher Nkunku going to Bayern. Personally... it's going to sound sad because I really enjoy Nkunku as a player. I think he has a role to play in this team. However, I think that he and his agents would suggest that he is too important and too good of a player to be playing second fiddle to Cole Palmer. Which my response to that usually is just, well, play better then. Prove that you need to be in the team. And it is kind of sad because I think that having him, Felix, and Palmer as our 3 kind of 10s is such good depth. But obviously... any player who's trying to get into the national setup and is trying to play first team football every single week in a top league and play European football especially is going to want to be starting every game. And Nkunku is one of those. I think that he probably feels a little bit hard done by now that he's obviously back from his injury and he's available to play every single game. The fact that he's getting snubbed and having to play in Conference League games, I don't think is something that he enjoys. Although according to Enzo Maresca, and obviously he has to be he has to be careful with the words he says in press conferences, but according to Maresca, he hasn't said that he wanted to leave. So it could just be speculation, but obviously there's concrete talks in place supposedly for a move to Bayern Munich, and I think that move is a bit weird in my opinion. Is the lineup's out in flow? Oh, it is out. Okay, great. I'll get that in a second. But yeah, I think that this in general, I think it's a bit weird for him to go to Bayern, considering again he's not gonna get in the team over Musiala. So like, it's a bit weird, but yeah, I personally think this would be a good transfer for us to get some funds, especially if it's going to fuel us to get either a new striker in January of a different profile that I've kind of spoken about in the past, and a goal-scoring left winger, which we might be getting with Matthias Tell. But apart from that, let me switch over to this. Let's get the lineup out onto the screen, and then we can see if there's anything weird here or not. I think I've just seen, yeah, Josh is the cover star for this, so I'm assuming he's starting. That'll be good. Let's go here. Let's go move this back to where it is. Cool. This is our lineup for this week. We have Sanchez, Caicedo in the inverted right back role. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I did think of that when I was making my lineup earlier today. I did think that could be an option to get him and Lavia into the lineup together. Josh starting, of course. Colwill starting, of course. Cucurella, Lavia, as I said. Enzo Madueke is starting over Neto. Very, very glad about that. I did think, I did say that I wanted that. I just didn't think it would happen. Palmer, Sancho, Jackson. Let's look on the bench. If there anything interesting on the bench. Vega's still on the bench, which is nice to see. So his transfer talk has not hindered that. Again, Nkunku's on the bench, which is interesting. Whether he plays or not will be another thing, because we have Guiu on the bench too, so maybe he comes on instead of Nkunku, and we get Felix as a 10 option. James is on the bench, Guslo's on the bench, Neto is on the bench too. Is there someone missing from the bench? I'm trying to think if there's anyone missing. Obviously George, but he played against Morecambe, so I didn't really expect him to kind of play. I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, KDH is injured, so he wouldn't be on the bench either. Let's put the lineup in the corner here, and we can actually rearrange this. So we get no James. James is being rested over Lavia, which is the backwards of what I thought it would be. Caicedo as the right back. We have Romeo Lavia in the middle, and then make him a bit too big. And then Neto is out for Madueke. I like this team. I do. I like the dynamism of this front line, especially I think against a team like Bournemouth that will press us, as I said. I think we need that kind of pace down the right hand side who's going to kind of cause problems, especially against a weakened injury-ridden team. I think that's a really good shout. In terms of how the team was set up, I think this is pretty obvious considering how it's been lined up here. Caicedo will obviously invert into the right side with Lavia on the left. And we'll see Josh play on the right side, Colwill central, and Cucurella here. However, saying that, I do believe that we'll probably see some kind of like, what's the word, switching about of positions with Cucurella and Caicedo. I think they'll kind of both invert at times, depending on which side of the pitch we're playing. But for the most part, this will be it. Do I think that we're going to be playing? I don't think that we'd be playing much of the diamond. I think the box is more suitable for this lineup. However, we could see this with Lavia as the lone 6 and Enzo and Caicedo playing as these kind of 8s with Palmer central. I think that's what we could see. I think that probably will be what we see for parts of the game, but when we're playing, it depends on how well Bournemouth are breaking on us. I imagine we'd probably start like this, and if Bournemouth are getting success against us, I think we'll probably see Enzo tell Caicedo kind of play a bit more defensive and drop back with Lavia in the 2. But yeah, interesting team. I said, I don't think there's anyone particularly missing from the lineup that I would play. Again, lovely to see Josh playing. Good to see Lavia back in the lineup. Good to see James still on the bench. And yeah, good to see Madueke back in, especially after the comments in the press conference about him possibly not training well. So hopefully this is I would say this is a really, really big game for Madueke to kind of step up and be like, hey, I should be playing more, especially considering the kind of comments that's been around him. So hopefully he can have a good game too. Yeah, I think that's probably a good. Oh yeah, Disasi, good call out, good call out. Disasi's missing from the lineup, which is very interesting considering he's had transfer talk around him too. Very, very good observation there. I knew there was someone that was missing. I couldn't think of who it was. In my head, I was like, oh, it's Badia Shield, but he's injured, so it wouldn't be him. But it is. It's Disasi. But yeah, as is it flipped off the bingo card already? Let's go. Woo! The bingo card has already happened. I'm not going to tick it off yet. We'll tick it off in the feeling blue, but we know that that's happened now. I'll mark that down. I'll remember to do that. One stream. I'll have one stream where it doesn't happen. I have no clue why it does it. I have no clue. Like genuinely, no idea. It just has a mind of its own. But yeah, somewhere where was it? I'm guessing we swap Lavia for James at half time and go back to a more traditional right back. I think that would be probably a good idea too. I'd imagine yeah, that's probably what we'll see because you want to give both of them 45 if we can. If not, maybe Lavia just plays a bit more and James comes on for like the last 25. It depends on who is further along in their injury progression, I would say. I think Lavia is probably the more likely to play more of the game, considering he's not had as much of an extensive injury history as James has. As James has been a bit more injury prone in the past, so maybe he doesn't get as much, but I think that's a good suggestion too. Would I rather see Nkunku come in on the 10 for Palmer or 9 for Jackson? If I'm being perfectly honest, I would rather not see Nkunku play. It sounds kind of harsh, but I think he's not good enough to displace Palmer from the team. I don't think he's very good as a 9 or a striker in general. If we're going to be taking Jackson off the pitch, I think Guiu should play. And if we need another player playing in the 10, I think Joao Felix will probably play there. But in all truth, I don't think Felix would even come on for Palmer anyway. I don't think Palmer comes off the pitch, to be honest. I think he probably plays the full 90, and it would probably be Fernandez who would come off, in my opinion. Yeah, see, I think it's a mixture. It's a mixture of Disasi obviously not playing well, and that's why I think Josh got into the team in the first place. But they're obviously because of the January transfer talk and Disasi possibly being moved on. I think it's partly that too. It's kind of like we don't want to be playing a player that's not for what am I trying to say? We want to be playing a player that's going to be here for the future, like Josh, instead of a player like Disasi who's probably going to be leaving. I would suggest that's a smart thing to do, is to not play a player that's not going to be in your future and help a young, admittedly a very talented young player in Josh Jembong to get into the first team, especially because this is a really big game. I think that this is genuinely, for Josh, this is a massive game for him to step up and say that he's a Premier League quality centre-back, because Bournemouth are no slouches, and despite them having the massive amount of injuries that we discussed earlier, I think that this is going to be a really tough game, especially for him. It depends on which side Semenyo plays, or if obviously Semenyo can play in the centre as well. Usually likes to be on one side. If he's on Josh's side, I would love to see him kind of up against a good quality, tricky winger like Semenyo. And to kind of see how he's tested. Although I do think if he was on the right side, Kukurea would probably lock him up. So there we go. See, this is the thing with Vega. I spoke about this briefly, but Vega's Vegas thing is interesting because obviously you can't rely on reports, right? There's the way that media works is they always try and push out the most exciting thing or the most kind of clickbaitable thing possible. And I think that until you kind of get solid evidence of what's happening, like from the actual word of mouth of the players or the coaches or whatever, it's not really much kind of you can do in terms of knowing whether anything is correct or not. I think what makes sense to me, because there's kind of been that idea of Vega has kind of expressed his desire to play as a centre back. I think for me, what I would assume is going on is that he has spoken to Martinez and has said, hey, I want to be playing at centre-back for Portugal because he's done it before and he's obviously good enough to play there. And he's kind of communicated to Maresca or the Chelsea board that he would like to get time elsewhere so he could get into that squad. Obviously, he's got like, I don't know when the next internationals are up, but if he's playing second fiddle to Colwill, that's not going to send a good message to Martinez of like, hey, I should be playing if he's only getting in conference and cup games. So I'm assuming, and obviously there's been more kind of talk now that that he wants to pursue a loan deal because he doesn't want to leave Chelsea, but he obviously wants to get that game time in to kind of be like, hey, I need to play for Portugal. Which, if he is going to leave, and I really don't want him to, I think he's a fantastic player, and I think that he's got a big future here if he does stay. I would suggest that going on the loan is the best case scenario if he is determined to get a move away, because I don't think that selling him immediately after buying him is that good, and I think that if we are going to sell him in a few more years' time, I think his price will drastically go up, especially if he's playing every single game for Portugal as a centre-back. He's just going to skyrocket in market value. So yeah, it's just a bit weird for me because he's our backup left-back. We only have Cucurella as a left-back if he goes, and it's just a bit concerning. It's like, where's the depth in that regard if we get rid of him? Obviously we could bring Samuel Smith in from the youth team. I think that's a good option there, but we can't be relying on just promoting every single youth player like George, like Chempong, like Samuel Smith to come in every time we sell a player. Even though our youth team is obviously very good and the best one in England by far, but there we are. Yeah, he wants to play in the Club World Cup. Yeah. I said, I think that's where I kind of stand with the Vega thing. Is that I personally would hope that he knows that he wants to stay at Chelsea because of how big we are as a team. But I think that he understands that in our current setup, he's not getting game time, and if he wants to get internationals, if he wants to be picked for international duty, that he needs to be playing games. I think it would be good of the club to say, hey, yeah, you can go on a loan and get game time and, you know, force your way into that Portugal setup, but selling him on a permanent deal I think is very hasty and very rash, and I personally wouldn't do it. And as I said, I really like the guy, so hopefully he stays. But yeah, do I prefer Vega or Badiashile at left centre back? See, we haven't actually seen Vega play as a pure left centre back, I don't think. We've kind of seen him play as that kind of wide player that will go into midfield, but I don't think we've ever seen him as a true kind of left centre back in a four. Whereas Badiashile we have, and Badiashile's a confusing one, man, because he's sometimes really, really good. It's the Gattuso meme. It's the sometimes very good, sometimes very shit. That's what he is. Sometimes he's an absolute Rolls Royce of a footballer, and other times he turns into as the old saying goes, the old mono saying goes, his legs turn into cottage cheese. So there we go. Personally, I don't really have much of a preference. I think that in terms of seniority, I think Benoit is there. But yeah, I will. Yeah, he's played. As I said, he's played there for Portugal, and as I said, I think that's kind of mainly the reason why he would probably want to get more game time, because this is the thing, is that our left centre back is Levi Colwill, and I don't think Levi Colwill is ever going to be displaced out of this team unless we buy someone that is genuinely like a world-class talent. I don't think Colwill's ever getting displaced, which is kind of sad for Vega, because, I mean, what can you do? You come to a club expecting to be able to get into the team, and then you're just completely snubbed out by a player that's absolutely great like Colwill. You just can't really help that. And I said, I think a loan move away would be good for him. But yeah, I'll leave you guys to it. I'm going to be ending the stream here so I can get off and prepare for the match. And as I said, I'll be streaming after the game too. It'll be very, very late, but I'll be streaming after the game too. And we finally, because it's a good Premier League game, I'm going to be able to do my new series after this, which will be good. We'll do a new series, and possibly a tactical breakdown. I don't know if we'll do that. We'll think about it. But yeah, we'll do the new series after the game as a kind of, it'll be a fun thing to kind of to start. So yeah, as I said, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Hopefully you guys enjoy the game, enjoy your evenings. As I said, I'll see you